Another live stream. NFL Week 2 is tomorrow, everyone. I'm super excited about the first game. Big wins. Dolphins over the Jaguars, Bills over the Cardinals. Two really exciting games, man. The Buffalo Bills came back in that game, led by Josh Allen, balling out. He's super talented, man. He's going to get this. Keon Coleman looked like he could potentially be a #1 wide receiver. He got good separation in that game. Khalil Shakir, pretty good. They're going to want to run the ball a little more this year with the new offensive coordinator. James Cook had a pretty good game as well. Very exciting games for you guys for Week 2. So what we're going to do today, we're going to break down all these Week 2 games. I'm going to talk about spreads a little bit, give you guys some spread bets that I like. There's a lot bigger point spreads in Week 2 than there was in Week 1. There's a bunch of games in that 6, 7, 8 point spread range. So if you're into Survivor, this is an interesting week to kind of diversify your different entries, right? In my Survivor pool, we survived all 10 of our entries going into Week 2. So we lost the Cincinnati Bengals game, but in my Survivor pool, we can buy back in after Week 1. So you kind of roll the dice on some games in Week 1 a little bit, right? So we rolled the dice with the Bengals. The Bengals ended up losing, and then we picked the 49ers on Monday night, so we got all of our entries back. Buffalo Bills are getting 2.5 points. That's not a bad bet, man. 2.5 points for the Buffalo Bills. Over-under's 48. And then the money line is plus 114 for the Bills, minus 135 for the Miami Dolphins. Am I sober? Patrick Mahomes. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another live stream, guys. Yeah, unfortunately, I am sober. It is what is it today? Wednesday? It's a Wednesday night. I just dropped the kid off at piano lessons, picked her up, and now I'm here talking some ball with you guys. Yeah, I like the Chiefs in Week 2, man, for sure. The Cincinnati Bengals played horrible against the Patriots. They were awful, just downright awful that entire game. The defensive line got ran all over by Ramondre Stevenson. The offense couldn't do anything at all whatsoever. And check it out. So, the Chiefs played last Thursday. They're not playing until Sunday, right? So they get extra rest. That gives Andy Reid extra time to game plan. And I don't care what Joe Burrow says, that hand is still hurting him. They kept cutting to him in that game against the Patriots. He's shaking out that right hand. Tendon damage takes a long time to heal up. So, I don't think Joe Burrow is healthy. So, I really like the Chiefs. I'm probably betting a little bit too hard on the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are at home, right? Back-to-back home. You know, so it's like, man, what do we do with the Chiefs? Do we go hard on the Chiefs with the bets? I think that's probably the way to go. I don't want to get too, crazy with the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs and parlays are really interesting this week, and teasers, man. I just can't see the Bengals, after that horrible performance last week, going into Kansas City, beating the Chiefs at home when the Chiefs have extra rest, extra time to prepare. I just don't see it. Yeah, that's a nice parlay, man. Niners, Ravens, Texans, Chargers for sure. I like that parlay. Yeah, I was a lot of Bears fans are like, Caleb's going to put up 28 points. I'm like, I don't see it. He threw for 2 yards or whatever it was in Week 1 against the Titans defense. Guess what? The Texans defense is a lot better. And they're on the road. They're in prime time. I just don't see any way that Caleb Williams shines out in Week 2 against the Texans. I just don't see it happening. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't yet, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We just surpassed 8,000 subscribers. I appreciate all you guys tuning in, man. It means a lot to me. week 2 is going to be a bunch of really exciting games. Yeah, the Birds. Go Birds! Go Birds! Yeah, man. But the Eagles secondary still scares me a little bit, man. They didn't do great, especially in the slot. Like, Avonte Maddox got absolutely torched. The Packers have pretty good wide receivers, but Quinyon Mitchell, dude, the dude's for real, man. For real. Yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy. I mean, Bills Dolphins games, I mean, there's no edge, man. It's like, who knows what's going to happen. The Bills got to go play the Dolphins, but it's at night, so the humidity's not going to be that much of a factor. So the money line for the Dolphins is minus 135. The Bills juice plus 114. That's not a lot of juice. Hey, man, the Birds look pretty good week 1. Pretty good week 1. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards the Dolphins, too. The money line probably makes I don't know about the 2.5 points, but I like the money line minus 135. I think that juice is pretty good. Yeah, Dak always looks great in the regular season, man. But in the playoffs, man, they got obliterated at home by the Packers last year, man. Absolutely obliterated. What's up, Charles Chapman? How's it going, man? I appreciate you tuning into a live stream. We're going to talk about all the Week 2 games for you guys. I'm going to put on an hour live stream for you guys. So, Bills, Dolphins. I'm kind of leaning towards the Dolphins a little bit. That offense was incredibly explosive. And if the Bills had a hard time containing Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals offense, it's like, I think the Dolphins are going to show out, man. I think the Dolphins show out. The Saints, I mean, the Saints beat a really, really bad team. The Panthers are a horrible team, right? They are the worst team in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So, like, pump the brakes on all these Saints fans. Because I said in the preseason that the Saints are going to struggle this year. I still think that offensive line is not very good. Let them beat. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jada Boss, 49ers. I agree. I'm not a big Derek Carr guy. He always likes to point fingers when things aren't going well. I mean, they lost right tackle Ramczyk, who's like the best player on that offensive line. They look good against the Panthers. But pretty much every single team is going to look good against that Panthers team. They got a new coaching staff, a lot of inexperienced guys. They're just not very good. And they were on the road. I mean, we'll see. If the Saints go into Dallas and beat the Cowboys, then I'll put my hands up and be like, I was wrong about the Saints. Right? The Cowboys were undefeated at home last year, right? 8-0. So if the Saints upset the Cowboys in Jerry's world, I'll put my hands up and I'll give the Saints their flowers, man. I mean, Caleb Williams looked terrible in week 1, right? Will he get better this year? Probably, right? But he looked awful. From a fundamental quarterback perspective, right? He was throwing off his back foot. He was throwing across his body. He wasn't setting his feet. He was unbelievably inaccurate with the football. I think he completed less than 50% of his passes, under 100 yards. With those receivers, it's not a good showing. With Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen, come on, man. Let's check out some of these comments for you guys. Yeah, I agree. I think the Cowboys bring the Saints back to earth, man. But Caleb Williams has got to be better. I thought he was going to play a lot better than he did. We saw like a little bit of that in the preseason where he wasn't throwing on time. He was making bad throws, really inaccurate throws, man. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how Caleb Williams. It doesn't get any easier for them in week 2. It really doesn't, guys. They got to play the Texans in prime time on the road. Doesn't get any easier for Caleb Williams. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Giants, Commanders. I'm going with the Commanders, King. I'm going with the Commanders. The Giants just look not ready to play football. Daniel Jones is, for a guy that's been in the NFL, he looked like a rookie, making horrible throws at very bad times, bad play calls. Like, those little screen passes, like within your own 10-yard lines, are asking for trouble. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand the play call. I don't understand the decision-making by Daniel Jones. Their defensive line is okay with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, but their secondary is absolute cheeks. Their secondary really, really stinks, man. Daniel Jones is super trash, like Oscar the Grouch living in a dumpster trash. Horrible contract. The Deshaun Watson one is worse. 100% guaranteed, $240 million. Everyone that brought in Deshaun Watson on that deal should be fired. I like Olave, but he didn't play good against the Panthers, which was concerning. What did he have, like 3 catches for like 30 yards or something? That was, you got to ball out against the Panthers, man. Yeah, Watson is the worst. He is so bad at football. See, I disagree a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. How many drops did the Jets have? At least 4 drive killers, man. And he threaded some dimes in that game, guys. He really, really did. Aaron Rodgers can still play ball. Those receivers were dropping balls, running flat routes. Breece Hall with the big fumble. They blocked okay, but I think Rodgers was going to be just fine. If you look at his history with the Packers, those Packers teams started slow all the time. So I'm not really concerned about Aaron Rodgers. I agree. I think the Texans are going to destroy the Bears. The Bears have a decent defense, slightly above average defense. So as long as Caleb Williams stays upright, not Caleb Williams, sorry, CJ Stroud, excuse me. As long as CJ Stroud stays upright, he's going to torch. And they got Joe Mixon now, and the Bears are not very good against the run. I think Joe Mixon balls out Sunday night against the Bears. I think he has a great, great game. Joe Mixon is a huge piece. You just see how much better this offense is with a really good running back. Because Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary's okay, but he can't block. He's an okay pass catcher, okay between the tackles. But Joe Mixon can do it all really, really well. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run in between the tackles. He could stretch it outside in zone schemes. And he can also block. Did you see him lay out that lineman, dude? He's laying out like 300-pound guys. Joe Mixon is a beast, man. I know. And then Tank Dell. You're forgetting about Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz is a really good tight end too, man. So it's like, the Texans are super legit. If you haven't yet, guys, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. We just crossed over 8,000 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 9,000. So if you could do me a huge solid and subscribe to the channel, I much appreciate it, guys. I also just opened up memberships. So if you like sports betting and survivor pools, every Friday I put out all my bets and all 10 of my survivor picks to my members. It's $4.99 a month. And last week, I did $100 worth of bets, and I returned $65. 65% return on your investment. If you were a member of my channel and saw all my bets last week, we absolutely crushed it, guys. We crushed it. We absolutely crushed it. So if you want to get those bets every Friday and get all my survivor picks every Friday, bros, I'm going to make you that $4.99 back and then some each and every week. We're killing it, man. The Titans actually ran the ball really well. What do you mean? Pollard had he averaged 5.5 yards a carry, man. That's not true at all. Pollard had a really good game against the Bears. Let me pull up the stats real quick. Yeah, Pollard, 16 carries, 82 yards. That's not doing good against the run. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry, dude. That's not doing good against the run. Giving up 5 yards a carry. They didn't shut down anything, man. Just laying the numbers for you guys. 26 carries, 140 yards. All the running backs combined, and Will Levis, 5.4 yards per carry. That's not shutting down the run. Yeah, man. It's like Pollard actually had a really, really good game. The Titans should have won that game. It was 17-3 at halftime. And then Will Levis absolutely crapped the bed in the second half. 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. I mean, terrible, man. He lost a fumble too. So it's like turnovers lost them that game. And then special teams. The Bears only won that game because they blocked that punt and then the Will Levis interceptions, right? They lose that game handedly if Will Levis takes care of the football and their special teams comes to play. So, yeah, the Bears played awful in the first half, man. 17-3. And the Titans scored 0 points in the second half. 100%. Arjun. 100%. The Titans lost that game. Sorry, I got dog hair on my face. The Titans lost that game more than the Bears won it. The Titans should have absolutely won that game in dominant fashion. But I don't understand. I just don't understand the play calling in the second half. They really should have just relied on the run. When you're averaging 5 yards a carry, just run the ball. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Oh, God. You're taking breaks, right? I'm taking breaks. Slowly delivering your packages. You probably were spiking packages once the Bears came back and won that game, man. The Patriots, they ran the ball really well. But you got to remember, Jacoby Brissett only threw for 120 yards. Their wide receivers are really bad. And the Seahawks defense is a lot better than the defense they faced in week 1. Mac Donald, the new head coach of the Seahawks, really has that team tackling well, playing well schematically. We're talking about the Bears-Titans game right now. Soccer is cool, man. So we're saying how the Titans were up 17-3 at halftime, scored no points in the second half. The block kick, the Will Levis interceptions really, really blew it for the Titans, man. Did you watch the Bengals game? Because I watched every play of that game twice. Because I watched it live, and then on Monday I watched recaps of every single game. The Bengals looked absolutely horrible defensively. The Patriots were running the ball on every single play. They knew the runs were coming, and they couldn't stop the run at all whatsoever. It was unbelievable to watch. They were even trying to stack the box with like 8 guys and still couldn't stop the run. The Bengals looked really, really bad, man. Really bad. Maybe they get it together as the season goes along. But the Titans actually have a really good front seven, man. That D-line for the Titans is really, really good. They have a very underrated D-line, right? They got Devondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key, Kenneth Murray Jr. Like, they're good players, man. Like, they have a very good D-line. Yeah, Joe Burrow looked awful. Dude, his hand's not right, man. They kept cutting to him on the sidelines, and he had that tendon tear last year. That's why he missed all that time. And he's just shaking out that hand. Something's going on with Joe Burrow. He said he's 100% healthy in interviews over the last couple days, but I don't believe that for a second. When I think it was my sophomore or junior year, I tore the tendon in my pinky making a tackle, and it's never been the same. It's never been the same. Tendon damage is no joke. Little wanker, I agree with you on the Cowboys. I mean, it's too early to say yet, but it's not Caleb Williams, that's for sure. None of the rookie quarterbacks played particularly well. Probably Jaden Daniels played the best, I would say. But Bo Nix, turnovers, they were just dinking and ducking. Sean Payton's got to ramp it up a little bit. Those 40-yard throws are just not going to get it done. All right, so let's talk about some of these games going on next week. We got the Raiders at the Ravens. From a survivor perspective, the Raiders look terrible. The defense was really disappointing for me in week one versus the Chargers. Another team, I'm running the ball on every single play, and the Raiders had no answers at all whatsoever when they played the Chargers. No answers. They ran the ball right down their throat, play after play after play after play. No answers. Joe Alt balled out for the Chargers, though. He's the real deal, man. He really shut down Max Crosby. Joe Alt from Notre Dame. The dude is the real deal, man. Eight and a half points is a lot of points. They probably cover the spread because I don't know how the Raiders score points. And if they couldn't stop the Chargers and J.K. Dobbins, how are they going to stop King Henry and Lamar Jackson, guys? I just don't know. I don't know. The Ravens probably cover it. Probably cover it. Yeah, the Chargers should dominate the Panthers. The Panthers, and then Derek Brown, their best defensive lineman for the Panthers, captain of the Panthers, done for the year with a torn meniscus. So, I know, but like that's how you lose football games. How many of those teams averaging 3 to 4 yards per pass attempt won? Don't worry, I'll wait. That's not a winning model in the NFL. You got to push the ball. Caleb Williams didn't win the game. The defense and the special teams won that game. Caleb Williams literally had zero to do with that win. If anything, he contributed to them almost losing that game. Caleb Williams couldn't have done less from the quarterback position. But Caleb Williams had nothing to do with that. If Will Levis doesn't throw that interception at the end of the game and the punter gets the ball kicked off and the coach doesn't go away from the run that was working and got them out to a 17-3 lead, Caleb Williams had zero to do with that win. A win is a win, 100%. But Caleb Williams had nothing to do with it. And Jacoby Brissett was awful too. Did you watch that game? He was terrible. Did you watch him play? He was terrible. They ran the ball down. They just ran the ball down the Bengals' throat. Jacoby Brissett. Let's see where the Patriots are at the end of the year record-wise. Averaging 4 yards per attempt. It's just not a sustainable model, man. There's no Super Bowl team winning the Super Bowl with 3 or 4 yards per attempt passing the ball. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, that's an interesting one. But yeah, you got to stick with what's working. You know, that's why the Titans getting away from the run makes no sense to me. Yeah, we'll see. Fundamentally, Caleb Williams. In the NFL, you got to throw on time, man. And Caleb Williams, so far in the preseason and in game one, has really struggled to settle into the pocket and throw accurately on time. If you can't throw accurately and on time in the NFL, it's not going to work for you. It's just not. I 100% think the Texans are a Super Bowl contender for sure. I definitely think, yeah, Pollard had a great game, man. Pollard, 5 yards per carry. If you have a running back averaging 5 yards a carry, just keep handing them the ball. And especially if your yards per attempt passing are less than your average run, that's a stupid thing to do. If you're running the ball for more yards than your pass attempts are, just keep running the ball. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, excuse me. It's not. It's just not. Man, the Pats-Seahawks game is going to be really close. Yo, the Seahawks offensive line, I watched the game again today, is so bad. The offensive line for the Seahawks they might be the worst offensive line in the NFL. They are so bad. Geno Smith is running for his life pretty much on every single play. I don't think he threw from a clean pocket once in that entire game. And that concerns me because the Patriots' defense is pretty good. Their offensive line is so bad. Like, it's historically bad. Yeah, the Bears' defense, I mean, the special teams what got the W for the Bears. Blocking that kick was so huge, man. Really, it just turned the whole game script around. Really turned it around. Yeah, how they blew that 17-3 lead is beyond me. Just terrible coaching. Brian Callahan's a new head coach. Got away from the run when it was working. They were dominating the line of scrimmage, the Titans' offensive line. They averaged 5.4 yards per run in that game. Just keep running the ball. Yeah, the Lions' offensive line is the top unit for sure. The Lions' offensive line is great. I watched every game twice. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh's just a really good coach, man. But they're very limited. Like, if you can stop the run against the Chargers, they're going to be extremely limited offensively. You can't. You might be able to win a game or two here and there, but you won't win consistently over a 17-game season. There's no team that averages 3 to 4 yards per attempt passing the ball that's going to win consistently over 17 games. That's just a fact. It's hard to tell after 1 week. That's why you hand the ball off, because the Titans were averaging 5.4 yards per carry, right? So why are you passing the ball when your average attempt is less than 4 yards? That makes no sense. So if you're averaging 5 yards a carry, you're just going to keep moving the ball down the field. You don't need to rely on the pass. You just got to keep running the ball. And then use play action to throw the ball down the field. Yeah, Bubble Frost, I just completely disagree with you. You can win a game here and there if the game script calls for that, but consistently over time, it's just not a winning formula to win NFL games. Yeah, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., I said this if you watched my content during the draft process. Marvin Harrison Jr. has a little bit of trouble with separation. And if he had trouble separating at college, he's going to have a little bit of trouble separating in the NFL. And that's kind of what you saw in the first game. He didn't get a ton of separation, and that's why Kyler Murray didn't really look to him that much in the first game. But he's got great hands. He was a little bit nervous with that big drop early in the game, you know. Dark horse this year. I mean, it's hard to say. It's too hard to. It's after 1 week. Like, I really like the Colts. I think they're going to be a really good team as the year goes along. I think the Jets are going to be good too, eventually. But like completely out of nowhere teams, I didn't see anything from any, like the Steelers. If the Steelers can get mediocre quarterback play, that defense is so good. It could take them really far. But I don't really know if that's like a dark horse team. Oh, that one play, Cassidy Johnson, bro. There wasn't a guy within the same zip code of Marvin Harrison Jr. And Kyler Murray, he's got trouble getting through his progressions, man. He's got trouble getting through his progressions, and he, on film, you see it all the time. He just misses wide open guys. He just doesn't even see them. He doesn't, yeah. Kyler Murray, progression-wise, he has trouble seeing the whole field, in my opinion. Yeah, and their offensive line's not really good. Their starting right tackle is on IR now, too, so their offensive line's going to be even worse in week 2. But Kyler Murray's one of those quarterbacks, when he feels a little bit of pressure, he wants to run out of the pocket. He doesn't stand tall and strong in the pocket and look to make throws down the field. And that's why Kyler Murray hasn't really been successful in the NFL quite yet. Go Birds! Go Birds! I mean, I love the Steelers, man. I just love their roster. I mean, defensively, there might not be a better team in the NFL than the Steelers when you look at the defense. I mean, all over the field, they have all pro caliber guys, man. They really, really do. I like Larry Ogunjobi, Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, Patrick Queen in the middle of the field. And then they're mixing in that draft pick Peyton Wilson, who was excellent in college. Landon Roberts is really talented. I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr., Beanie Bishop. I mean, that defense is really, really talented, man. I love their defense. And I love George Pickens. George Pickens is an absolute monster, guys. He's a monster. He's so good. He might be the most underrated number one receiver in the NFL. He is legitimately a number one receiver on 90% of teams in the NFL. He's that good. I don't know. It's too early to say if like the Bengals are completely cooked. They've played horrible. I think they're really missing Joe Mixon, man. Because not only is he a great receiver out of the backfield and obviously great at running the ball, but he's an excellent blocker, dude. He's so good at picking up blitzes, guys. And Joe Mixon balled out for the Texans, dude. That's a huge signing for Houston, bringing in Joe Mixon. The Bengals really missed him. Let me read some of these comments real quick, guys. What do you think about the biggest deal in the draft is this year? Yeah, I love Edgerrin Cooper, man. I think the Packers drafted unbelievably well. To get Javon Bullard, the safety, who looked great, and Edgerrin Cooper on defense, amazing job drafting. And honestly, Quinyon Mitchell from the Eagles. Where did he go? What was he at, pick 20 or something like that, 22? And he looked great week one. He was targeted like 9 or 12 times. He only gave up like 2 or 3 catches. The dude's a baller, man. He's big, he's tall, he's fast, he's physical. It's a huge, huge addition to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Quinyon Mitchell is for real. Not just because I'm from Philly and I like the Birds, but like just watching football. Quinyon Mitchell looks unbelievable, man. Yeah, it's tough if If Joe Burrow isn't healthy, it's hard to really judge that roster. He doesn't look healthy to me. He doesn't look healthy. Yeah, dude, Cassidy Johnson, Deshaun Watson, he's an embarrassment, man. Guys, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys. And if you want and are interested in bets, Survivor, regular bets, check out my memberships, $4.99 a month. I'm dropping knowledge on you guys. 65% return on investment last week for us. We crushed it. Yeah, I mean, the Lions are really tough to beat, but Jared Goff didn't look too good in week one, so hopefully he irons it out. He was unbelievably impressive. Considering how unbelievably talented the Packers wide receivers are, all 4 of those guys are number 1 and number 2 guys for the Packers. Amazing wide receivers, and he just did a really, really good job keeping things in front of him. He did a really good job tackling in run pursuit. He did a really good job. I'm sorry I keep itching my nose. The dog hair is just like floating all over me. It's killing me. How could you appreciate Watson? He's horrible. He's stealing money from that organization. $240 million all guaranteed. To play like that, he sucks. Yeah, Cincinnati was terrible, man. Armin, horrible. Yeah, the Lions are going to be just fine. That team's way too talented for that. Yeah, Baker Mayfield balled out. He did play Washington, who's not very good. But Baker balled out. What do you have, 4 tutties? No picks, 300 yards passing. What up, Momo? What's going on? Yeah, that Watson deal's probably going to go down as the absolute worst contract in NFL history. So many of these NFL quarterbacks are unbelievably overpaid. Trevor Lawrence, that deal's ridiculous. Like, what are they paying all these guys so much money for? I just don't get it. Yeah, I agree. Washington's defense is not very good. Not very good at all. But he still balled out. Yeah, and like a lot of it, when you guarantee the money, it's like the cap hit is so bad for such a long time that like your team is like handcuffed. Yeah, Dak Prescott, I mean, $60 million. Yo, the Cowboys haven't been to an NFC championship in like 30 years. I don't get paying these guys when they don't win in the playoffs. I mean, Bryce Young threw an interception on the first play from scrimmage in that game. The first three plays of the game was an interception, a sack, and a false start. First three games of the season for the Panthers. He can't command an offense. He's small too. He's only like 5'10", so he's small. He's got bad vision. He doesn't got the strongest arm in the world either, and he's just not accurate. I'm going back. Let me check out some of these comments, see if I can answer some questions. Yeah, $60 million for Dak Prescott's deal is ridiculous. Yeah, I think Bo Nix is going to be fine, Jack. I like him, actually. I think he'll be good. I think he's got to throw the ball down the field a little bit more, but Sean Payton was dinking and dunking too much. Thanks, dude. This is one of those Mitchell and Ness jerseys. This is like from the 1990 Reggie White jersey, man. The Mitchell and Ness jerseys are a little expensive, but they're super high quality. CJ Stroud, Pablo, 100%. Like, the Cowboys just don't have enough depth. Like, what happens to the Cowboys if CeeDee Lamb, God forbid, gets hurt? What do the Cowboys do? Brandon Cooks? They're going to rely on Brandon Cooks? Jake Ferguson's already hurt. How do they run that offense? How do they run that offense without CeeDee Lamb? How do they do it? I don't think so. Maybe one. Yeah, and I hate Jerry Jones. I just think he's a scumbag. And if you were gonna just pay CeeDee Lamb what he wanted, just pay him before. Like, what's with the him and hawing and getting on people's nerves? I would never want to play for the Cowboys. Yeah, he's really like Bryce Young. I mean, just from watching the film of that game, he looks so much smaller than everybody else on the field, Bryce Young. It's crazy how small he looks. CJ Stroud is the truth. He's probably my favorite player in the NFL right now. On third down, too, he's a dog. Josh Allen's one of my favorites, too. What a performance against the Cardinals. Just a gutsy performance. He's so tough. If I'm building a team, Josh Allen's probably going to be my first phone call. Yeah, not an NFL quarterback, Matthew Miller. I can't vote for Trump, man. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Did you watch that debate last night? It was just like a bunch of incoherent ramblings. I'm not a big Kamala Harris fan, but I just can't vote for Donald Trump. He's just such a scumbag. And my dad was a union worker in the tri-state area back in Pennsylvania, and so many of his bosses lost their contracting business because Trump didn't pay them. So that's why I can't vote for Donald Trump. What's up, Germany? How's it going, man? What time is it in Germany, man? God, I would love to visit Germany. Oh, I love Brock Bowers, Eddie. Yo, Brock Bowers is one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. He was my favorite player coming out of the draft. You watch my draft content, guys. I love Brock Bowers. His tape jumped out. Him and Malik Neighbors, their tape jumped out to me more than anybody else. Like, Brock Bowers is a legitimate all-pro in the making. He runs great routes. He's really good after the catch. He's like the yak monster. Yeah, I love myself some Brock Bowers. Yeah, I bet. The Panthers taking, yeah, that's going to be another draft that people are like, how could you ever possibly think that Bryce Young was going to be a better NFL quarterback than CJ Stroud? Just from CJ Stroud has the perfect throwing motion. He's big, he's strong, he's physical. And if you're looking at a prototypical quarterback, no one's better fundamentally than CJ Stroud, in my opinion. The Seahawks offensive line, Storm Eclipse, is horrendous. They have probably the worst offensive line in the NFL. And you're only as successful as an offensive line. Geno Smith really played over his head and made a lot of plays happen despite of that horrendous offensive line. The defense will be fine. Mike McDonald is a great defensive mind. He's smart, very cerebral guy. He was the best defensive coordinator in football the last few years. Their defense is going to be fine. But their next 6 draft picks in the first 3 rounds have to be all offensive linemen. That's how bad they are. The only reason I talked about politics is because someone asked me a question about politics. Take it easy. Take it easy, everybody. I try to get to everyone's questions. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. And I'm going to answer it honestly. Who's going to beat the Birds twice? Who? Who's beating the Birds twice? Sorry, guys. There's a ton of comments coming in. Yeah, I mean, I think losing Diggs, honest truth, was like freeing for Josh Allen. He's playing free. He doesn't have to worry about this guy yapping in his ear every 4 plays because he's not getting the ball on every other pass. I think it was an addition by subtraction for the Buffalo Bills. They needed to move on from Diggs. He's a cancer. He just is. Flat out. He's a locker room cancer. He just needs to learn how to shut his mouth. And he just can't do it. Thanks, Nicholas, for subscribing. I appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you. Yeah, guys, be like Nicholas. Subscribe to the channel so you can tune into my live streams. Check out all my content. I just put out a week 2 prediction video. It's got like 12,000 views, so it's cooking a little bit, guys. Yeah, Josh Allen is a little inconsistent, but that's what kind of makes him good. He's hard to plan for defensively, right? You know, I'm hoping Keon Coleman can be that true number 1 wide receiver for him, and this Bills team can cook. Yeah, man, I keep it real. Oh, let me get... Oh, God, there's so many comments. I can't keep up with them all. Sorry, guys. What are your score predictions for the Eagles-Falcons? I think the Eagles win that game. I think it might be a little bit closer than people think. I think the Falcons played a lot worse than they are. The Falcons' offensive line is pretty good. The Eagles struggle to get a pass rush against the Packers, so that concerns me a little bit. I think the Eagles win that game. Like, how do they stop how do they stop Saquon Barkley, right? How? The Atlanta Falcons pass rush isn't very good, and the Philadelphia Eagles have an incredible offensive line. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to have plenty of time. And if you give him time with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, it's going to be a long day for the Falcons, I think. I think the Reddick situation is stupid. The dude's losing $800,000 a game. Just go play. Earn a new contract. Earn it. And he's older. Like, I think the Jets GM is doing a great job. These players try to dictate too much in the NFL, and I like the Jets GM sticking it to him, to be honest. The dude's getting too greedy. He's already making a ton of money on his deal. He's getting older. Go out and produce. You'll get a new deal. Thanks, Nicholas. Appreciate you, bro. Yo, Bucky Irving, I talked about him in a lot of the draft process. People said I was crazy, but I was like, I like the tape on him. I like Bucky Irving in the draft. He looked pretty good. Looked pretty good week 1. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens dominate the Raiders. That's, the Raiders look terrible. Terrible coaching. They looked awful. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I mean, you're going to play an aging player like extra money? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get why if I was a GM, I wouldn't pay him either. I would do the exact same thing Joe Douglas is doing, the GM of the Jets. Go out, play well, and we'll talk about giving you more money. That's what we'll do. Man, Brighton Ford, that's tough to say right now, right? Because what would Marvin Harrison Jr. look like in the Chiefs' offense, right? So a lot of these guys, especially wide receivers, have more success in certain schemes. And Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, it's a lot easier to be a wide receiver when you have Andy Reid scheming up plays for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who's the Cardinals' offensive coordinator? I don't even know his name. But I know Andy Reid's going to draw up some ball and plays for sure. So we'll see how stuff plays out. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a good talent. Xavier Worthy, we'll see once they figure out if he's going to be like a one-trick pony or not. So we'll have to see. I think the Chargers run the ball down the Panthers' throat. I think they dominate in the run game. Derek Brooks, I think his name is, he's done for the year. He was the captain of the Panthers, their best defensive lineman, and he played in week 1. So the Chargers are going to run the ball 35 times, run the ball down their throat, own time of possession. They win that game easily, I think. Yeah, we'll see. Caleb Williams has got a lot of talent. He just has to learn how to throw on time and stop throwing off his back foot and throwing across his body. Just all these. He's got a lot of bad habits. I play daily fantasy, Nicholas, but I don't really play season-long fantasy. Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen with the Chargers running back situation. We'll see how J.K. Dobbins gets hurt a lot, so we'll see how healthy he can stay. I don't know who's the Giants' backup quarterback. Anybody know off the top of your head? I know they signed like a veteran. I forget. Let me check out the depth chart. What the hell is his name? Oh yeah, Drew Lock. They got Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. Drew Lock can be okay. Drew Lock will probably get it before DeVito, in my opinion. I think they paid Drew Lock some good money to come be the backup there. But yeah, they have Tommy DeVito. He's more of like the third string guy. I think Drew Lock will be the first guy to command the offense if Daniel Jones gets benched. But they're paying him so much money. So much money. But I feel bad for Malik Neighbors. He's so good, and he sucks. Daniel Jones sucks. Yeah, he went on that little run last year, guys. Looked pretty good. Looked pretty good. But, you know, he flamed out. The league figured him out pretty fast, so I don't know. I'd go Drew Lock before I went with Tommy DeVito. Who cares if he is? I don't care what you do. As long as you don't hurt people, go do whatever you want to do. Yeah, I agree. I think Drew Lock could be I wonder, like, what the locker room thinks, because they see both those guys practice together every day. I wonder if rumblings start happening about Drew Lock. I know that uniform was like their 50th anniversary or something like that. You know what I mean? 100th anniversary. I forget what it was. They had like some sort of anniversary. That's why they wore those heinous uniforms and made his play look even worse. There's no way that Daniel Jones will be the quarterback of the Giants 3 years from now. We have a better chance of seeing Jesus like walk behind me on the screen than Daniel Jones being the quarterback of the New York Giants in 3 years. There's no chance that happens. They're gonna pick a quarterback next year no matter what. Daniel Jones is so bad. That Saints-Cowboys game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. But, like, I actually like their head coach, Brian Daboll. Daniel Jones is just terrible. Like, is it the coach or is it Daniel Jones is just really bad at football and just, like, he can't make plays, man. He makes horrible decisions. Throwing that ball at his goal line for an interception was like the worst play I've ever seen. Like, what are you doing, man? The Cowboys, I don't like the Cowboys. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan, but they don't suck. Their defense is very, very good. And Mike Zimmer being the defensive coordinator there, that unit's going to be very, very good all year long. Yeah, we'll see about that. Neighbors is so good. He's physical. He's tough. He wants to hit you in the mouth. He's really gritty. Oh, yeah, 100%, Arjun. Derek Carr's been like that his whole career. Sometimes you watch him and you're like, this guy could be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And then you watch some other tape and you're like, this guy shouldn't even be starting in the NFL. He's a very Jekyll and Hyde type of quarterback. That's for sure. Carol, yeah, the Cowboys can't play in the playoffs, dude. They got smoked by the Packers, bro. I don't know. They just play so tight and they just stink. Yeah, I'm worried about Derek Carr over the course of the year. They don't have a lot of depth with the offensive line. Injuries are going to happen. Oh, really? I didn't see that. Who said that comment? Nick. I didn't see that about Nick Foles. That'll be fun to watch. You got to love yourself some Nick Foles. It's so weird because he plays so lights out in the regular season, but when the playoff comes, he gets tight. Yeah, Parsons is a dog, man. I wish he was with the Birds. He's a dog. That's true. 100%. 100%, Pablo. They got crushed. But they also probably had the two worst offense and defensive coordinators in the NFL. Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio are like in the top, say like the B to A list tier of coordinators. Brian Johnson and Desai were like F minus tier of coordinators. Nick Sirianni's biggest flaw is he's too loyal to guys. He wants to promote from within, and it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. I don't know about a sleeper team. They were a playoff team last year, got a playoff win. I don't really consider them a sleeper. And they brought back like pretty much the whole roster this year to go at it again. Yeah, they looked terrible in that playoff game. They were just like, I don't know. I just feel like everyone was so exasperated by everything that was going on. They were just like, they like checked out, man. They just were just checked out. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles, I mean, Vic Fangio is a genius defensive coordinator. He's been in this league for 30 years, coaching up defenses, man. Oh, man, that would have been hard to watch. Sorry you got to go to that game, Carol. Man, that game must have been tough. They got crushed. Absolutely crushed. 100%. And I think Fangio is really going to, like, elevate and get the most out of these players. Yeah, Brian Johnson and Desai were horrible. They were terrible last year, guys. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 9,000 subscribers. I need your help to get there, guys. We just crossed 8,000 a couple days ago. Help me get to 9,000. And if you're interested in Survivor Pool and regular football bets, check out my memberships, $4.99 a month. You get all my Survivor picks every Friday and all my bets. I'll go to my sportsbook page and show you every single bet that I make. Last week, 65% return on investment, guys. We absolutely crushed it. So if you want to win some bets, consider joining my memberships, guys. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Jalen Hurts' decision-making for me is a little suspect. You know, he made two horrible throws. He threw two terrible interceptions in that game that could have lost the Eagles the game. The second one in the end zone was super egregious. They're up by 5 points. You kick the field goal, you go up by 8. You can't lose. They can only tie the game at that point. You got to get the field goal there. You got to get the points. You can't throw the ball over the middle of the field like that. But all right, guys, I just did my 1 hour, closing in on 1 hour. So I'm going to wrap this up in a couple minutes. So if you got any quick questions, shoot them out to me. I'll see if I can answer them for you guys real quick. Yeah, Jalen Hurts' decision-making is not the best. Yeah, I'm curious to see how Sam Darnold looks this week. Yeah, Hurts needs to be better protecting the football for sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Keenan Allen is great for a young quarterback. He's great at getting separation. He can really help teams out on third down. Andrews is, I don't know, man. The injuries, I think, are creeping up on Mark Andrews, man. We'll see. I don't know if he's still elite. He's a good player, but those injuries are just, like, creeping up on him, I think, man. I mean, What else could Brock Purdy possibly do besides win a ring? That's the only thing he hasn't accomplished yet. And he's going to get paid. I can't wait for him to get paid because he's getting paid like $1 million a year. It's ridiculous because he was the last pick in the draft. I can't wait for him to get paid. I like the Jets' defense. It's still a work in progress offensively. Thanks, Nico. Appreciate you, dude. But the Jets' defense is really, really good. The offense, turnovers, drop balls, they didn't look so good. But all right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. Knuckles to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try to do these pretty much every night. Yeah, Breece Hall's still really good. He just had a bad game. That happens sometimes with running backs. He's still really good. He'll have a good year. He'll bounce back. All right, I appreciate you guys. Take it easy. Have a good night. Peace.